The Sriaman Municipal Premises Management Act 2018, fictitious, give the Sriaman District Council officer the power to regulate the management, maintenance, and rental of local authority premises to entrepreneurs. Mrs. Alani is a new entrepreneur looking for available premises at Banda Sriaman for the annual food festival. When she applied for the premise rent, the officer asked her to pay an extra 100 ringgit if she was legally married. Mr. Chong wanted to renew his rental permit for his food vendor. The officer offered him to pay less than the specified rate made by the local authority of Sriaman, since his food vendor is able to attract a lot of customers. However, for Mr. Chong to accept this offer, he must share 25% of his revenue with the officer personally. Mr. Chong and Mrs. Alani were not satisfied with the action taken by the officer, advised that the issues in this case are whether the decision made by the Sriaman District Council officer requiring Mrs. Alani to pay additional fee on premise rent and imposing arbitrary condition on Mr. Chong are lawful exercise of discretionary power.
Discretionary power. Discretionary power refers to the power that are exercisable by the administrative authority. Here, they can choose between alternative courses of action. Discretionary power has a range of options, and he uses his personal judgment in making his decision. One of the discretionary power is extended ultravirus. It is a judicial review made by an administrative authority. Although it is within the scope of legal power, it also can become unlawful due to the manner of exercising the power is improper. Extended ultravirus includes unreasonableness, irrelevant consideration, and malafide. One of it is unreasonableness. It is something that's so absurd that not reasonable or sensible to the person could have come to that decision. For example, in the case of Roberts versus Hopwood, 1925. In this case, the council has the authority to employ servants and determine wages as deemed appropriate. A minimum wage of $4 is paid to all employees regardless of the job nature. Lord Renbury emphasized that discretion must be exercised reasonably, not arbitrarily. Discretion involves using reason to determine the appropriate course of action. It is determined that the council's discretionary power must be exercised reasonably. Fixing salaries without considering prevailing labor conditions is deemed an improper use of discretion.
Next, irrelevant consideration. When a public authority uses its discretionary power, he must make sure that its decision is not influenced by irrelevant consideration. Irrelevant consideration are issues that fall outside the purpose and scope of the law concerned. If the law clearly states what factors shall be considered when exercising the power, the court's role is to check whether the authority has considered the relevant factors and ignore those that are irrelevant. In the case of Congreve versus Secretary of State for the Home Office, the Home Secretary increased the TV license fee and wanted to revoke the existing license unless the people paid more. The court held that this was an abuse of powers because his action of revoking the license was used to force payment, which is an irrelevant consideration, as the power was meant for regulating license and not raising money. Lastly, malafide. A public authority must exercise its discretionary power in good faith, and there should be no dishonest intention or corrupt motive behind the decision. If a discretionary power is used in such a manner, it is amount to an abuse of power. In the case of Pratap Singh versus State of Punjab, 1964, Pratap Singh was a civil servant in Punjab. The government started disciplinary action against him and required him to retire yearly. Singh argued that the decision was not based on valid reason, but was influenced by personal dislike and bad faith on the part of the Chief Minister. The Supreme Court of India ruled that the decision was made in bad faith and was therefore invalid.
For the application part, We can make the two separate applications for this issue. Firstly, the officer or the local authority demanded extra 100 ringgit from Miss Alani since she is legally married. Here, using marital status to increase the rental fees is not related to statutory purpose, which is an irrelevant consideration for the authority to demand an extra 100 ringgit from Miss Alani. Marital status has no connection to the management, rental, and regulation of local authority premises. The officer created two-tier fee system based on personal circumstance like marriage, which is discriminate without justification. This can be seen where married applicants have to pay more, while single applicants pay less or at original amount even though both of them use the same space. Therefore, charging Miss Alani more money is unreasonable because her marital status has nothing to do with the amount of money that are charged by the local authority. Next is the application for the second issue. The officer who offered a rental rate amount lower than officially prescribed amount to Mr. Chong, but this offer can be accepted only if Mr. Chong gives him 25% of his personal revenue. For this issue, the officer did not exercise his duties with a good faith because he has no authority or power to change the rate of rental premises fee for a personal benefit. The officer demanded 25% of Mr. Chong's revenue is one of the corrupt motives, as he used his power to satisfy his personal purposes. In conclusion, Mrs. Alani and Mr. Chong may challenge the decision made by the officer as it relates to the abuse of discretionary power, and the court may intervene against the decision as an invalid.